Hello, and welcome to the first episode of Green Horizons Global Insights podcast. Today we will be talking about the fourth UN SDG goal, which is quality education. So in the words of the UN itself, this goal wants to ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. It also tells us that education liberates the intellect, unlocks the imagination, and is fundamental for self-respect. Education is the key to prosperity and opens a world of opportunities, making it possible for each of us to contribute to a progressive, healthy society. Learning benefits every human being and should be available to all. So there is a series of sub-goals and that are also called targets in this goal. Target 4.1 is free primary and secondary education, and this is seen as the most important target, which is why it is the very first sub-goal for this. And it states that by 2030, all girls and boys should have free, equitable, and quality primary and secondary education, which will lead to relevant and effective learning outcomes such as higher education or high-quality careers. The second sub-target, target 4.2, is equal access to pre-primary education, which will ensure that by 2030, all girls and boys will have access to quality early childhood development, care, and pre-primary education so that they are ready for primary education. So this will really set up the grounds before the time for actual higher level education will come, and will also provide students with a safe space and an area to really properly express themselves creatively and academically before they need to really put an effort into grades and homework and things like that. And this can foster passion and interest in younger students and really promote higher goals for their future. Target 4.4 is to increase the number of people with relevant skills for financial success. And this target aims by 2030 to increase the number of youth and adults who have relevant skills, which include technical and vocational skills. And this will aid in employment and will allow them to get decent jobs in entrepreneurship. And this includes not only academic fields, but also, as mentioned on the UN website and on their list of targets, also academic careers such as medicine, doctors, nurses, as well as, for example, plumbers or technicians. Target 4.5 is to eliminate all discrimination in education and aims that by 2030, gender disparities in education will be eliminated, and there will be equal access to all levels of education and vocational training for the vulnerable, including people with disabilities, indigenous people, and children in vulnerable situations. So this essentially means that everyone should have the opportunity for education, and then there should be no space for discrimination in schools or areas of higher learning such as universities or online courses and things like this. And I think this is a really important goal because, you're already so privileged to be able to access education, but if you're someone who comes from a less privileged area and you have this opportunity and you're faced with yet another level of difficulty through discrimination that takes the shape of racism or bigotry, homophobia, etc. So, yeah, I think this is a really important sub-target. Target 4.6 is universal literacy and numeracy, and this will ensure also by 2030 that all youth and substantial proportion of adults, both men and women, achieve literacy and numeracy. And so this is a goal that has been hit in many, many places, but, it still has a long way to go. And obviously, I believe this is one of the most important goals, if not the most important, because literacy in particular, and numeracy as well, but especially literacy just unlocks so many doors and really allows one to navigate life in a much more successful and accessible way. So I think this is really should be at the top of the list, definitely. And this continues to go until target 4.8, which is increase the supply of qualified teachers in developing countries, and aims to substantially increase the supply of qualified teachers, including through international cooperation for teacher training in developing countries, especially least developed countries and small island developing states. So I have a few examples of developing countries. We have Algeria, Morocco, Kosovo, Bolivia, Iran, the Solomon Islands, Vietnam, the Maldives, Africa. In particular, there's Ethiopia, Gambia, Ghana, Guinea, South Sudan, South Africa. So really a lot of these places, and the UN's goal is to supply these places with either educational courses or aid, and to really increase the rate of qualified teachers, which will in turn increase the rate of qualified students and will increase opportunities for the population of these countries to have access to high quality education. So that was an overview of the fourth UN SDG itself. And we're also provided with a list of ways and ways to help and things to do in order to both raise awareness and help progress this goal. And one of these is to find a charity of your choice that you want to support. And, if you're really interested in this specific target, it should be a charity that can aid in education. So, if you're in a school or if you're in a workspace, there are lots of available resources I'm sure that you can find. Like, let's say you're in school, just pay attention to, for example, the boards or the flyers that you can see around. And lots of places are willing to accept donations to aid the education of other people. And, for example, even just a small act such as tutoring or helping someone can just aid in progressing this, and it might not seem like it would make a big difference, but every step counts. Promoting and taking free online courses also is a big step to take, especially in a digital world where there are so many opportunities to get access to this education instead of just simply going to university like in the past. And there's actually lots of great resources for this. One example is Coursera.com, where there are lots and lots of free courses that you can take. And, you can take a course of your choice and you'll be more educated in those regards, but also to promote this. So for people who have less access to to education or to higher education, this can be a really, really valuable resource. Donating used books is the easiest way to give access to knowledge to other people and to provide others with education. So if you have a book, especially, if it's in the case of education, a non-fiction book, and fiction also, obviously, there's a lot to learn through that. Donating that to someone who may not have the same opportunities as you, so either through a donation center or a secondhand store or even just to members of your community is a really, really good way to promote education. And you can also just start a school supply drive. So for example, the banana box is what we have in our school, and we fill it with supplies, and these can be educational supplies such as pens or highlighters or pencils, notebooks to aid others in their education when they're in an area that may be developing or lacking in resources or opportunities. And you can also organize bake sales and fundraisers and things like that. And there is a link to the UN SDG actual donation site, and this is https://donate.joints.sdgfund.org, which I will also link in the description of this episode's video. And you can actually just donate a set amount of money in order to help advance this SDG. And in my opinion, I think this is a really, really important UN goal, because quality education is really the first step in being able to achieve so many other things in life. And it doesn't even need to be higher education. Even just a high school diploma, is enough to be able to really make a difference, get a job, especially in this world where it's much harder to have access to high quality, careers, or just job opportunities in general are kind of much harder to come by now. And so many countries are experiencing, really, really difficult economic situations. So I think it's really something that we need to prioritize. And I mean, I'm very, very privileged. I have access to a really high quality education. So, I don't see things the same way someone with less opportunities would be able to see them. And I'm very much aware of this. So I really think that it's important to do your part. And I like to donate my used books because I really enjoy reading, and I have a very large collection of books. So whenever I have the opportunity, I try to donate some books. So if my school is organizing a book donation or a book sale, I like to do my part and to donate a few books. Or if there are, those little stands sometimes in the street, those little donation boxes where you can put a few of your books for free and take another few books for free. I usually like to pick out some of the nonfiction books that I have, and this can help, spread knowledge to other people, and fiction as well, because it's very important. So yeah, I hope that you guys like this episode. I hope you feel like you know more about the UN SDG, the fourth goal, which is quality education for all. And I hope you feel inspired and motivated to donate and to help other people. And I don't mean donate necessarily just for money, even just, mentally or emotionally donate some of your energy and your attention to these people and raise awareness in your community. Thank you so much for listening. See you next time.